Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I located a, a bulk of seller of the foil paper that I like to use for Mondrian art squares, and I'll be getting a few dozen packs of the foil paper soon. And I'm hoping to put together a 6 foot by 6 foot Mondrian square art piece made of. See, there's a mathematical problem called the Mondrian art puzzle, and we have the best solution for them. I think up to 120 something. So you got a 3 by 3, a 4 by 4, all the way up to 100 by 100. And I'm thinking of putting those squares together to fit into another square as tightly as possible. I don't think that's going to have a perfect solution. And then I'm going to use that to make the Mondrian art piece with the four colors, obviously, right? And it's going to be about 6 feet by 6 feet. But I really hope to hit it big this time to get a good to sell it for such a good amount that I could actually take a short break away from my art project because it has not gone the way I had hoped it would. You got to remember why I started my art career in the first place, right? When I started, I was working at a very toxic job, a tutoring center, and I wanted to start leaving that situation and start into my art career, right? This was in late 2022. And has it worked? Yes and no. I mean, I have less toxic jobs nowadays anyway. That's a plus, right? Part of the reason that I landed these less toxic jobs is that I had room to maneuver, right? When I was working at the tutoring center, I had room to say, hey, I'm going to a job interview on Monday. I'm going to be out for a day, right? I had room, or I probably didn't say job interview. I'm going to be out for a day, right? If I needed that tutoring job in order to eat, right? First of all, I might not have been able to afford to take any time away, and second of all, it would have been difficult for me to ask, right? Now, yes, I have a dream job now, but at the same time, there's always barriers that come in, even if they have nothing to do with toxic people, right? So, for example, last week Wednesday, I had a morning class, and it's September. It's finally cooling down, and I actually walked to the campus. I live about, I want to say, 2.5 miles away. And I was thinking about stopping off at my adjunct office to listen to some music. And for some bizarre reason, well, not bizarre, because he's allowed to do that. For some reason, my office mate decides to show up. He's rarely in the office, right? And he shows up, and it's just really upsetting. Now, is he a toxic person? Not at all, right? Did he have any malicious intentions? No, absolutely not. In fact, had I asked him that morning if I could turn on the music, I'd say there's a good chance he would have let me do that, right? I didn't have the nerve to do that. So maybe I'm not in as good a position as I could be, right? I need to get to a point where I would have asked him, right? Hey, is it okay if I turn on some music and see what would maybe next time I got to try that. Now that I'm not so fearful at my job anymore. And so that's the reason why I wanted to have an art career, right? It's a secondary leg to stand on so that when things come up at work, when I was teaching at Washington Technology University in Seattle, Washington, I didn't have that second leg to stand on. And you could tell, right? I had colleagues who last minute asked me to fill in for a wonky hour. I had uh, my contracts would get canceled last minute. I would be asked to teach a class at the last minute. Toward the end, WTU ran into financial difficulties, and my paychecks would be late. And every time I would talk to it, I'm sure I wasn't the only one whose paycheck was late, right? But my dean probably felt she could walk on me the most compared to my other colleagues who were also complaining about their paychecks bouncing, about the amounts being wrong, and all that. I'll tell you about one time. My paycheck was really late. I had gotten the check, and my dean, quote unquote, forgot to sign the check. And so when I went to Mobile Deposit, it got rejected. And I was in Wallace, Idaho at the time. And she had mailed another one, but she mistakenly in quotes, sent me the wrong amount. She had got my check mixed up with somebody else's. I can't remember the excuse she gave. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, it was time to negotiate contracts for the next semester and just put a wedge in there, right? You don't want to rock that. You don't want to mess up that next negotiation because you're still waiting for all these outstanding checks. And at the time, I needed my job at WTU in order to eat, right? This was during the pandemic. And so I really didn't have room to maneuver around that, right? Today, I would have said, I would have given them an ultimatum, right? Is your check ready? We got class tomorrow. If your check's not ready, the students are going to be really disappointed, right? I didn't have room to do that 4 years ago, right? Today, I would, right? Like, oh my God, if my check over at CAC doesn't show up or bounces or whatnot, immediately, right? Within 24 hours, the school's going to be in a panic that the students are looking for me, right? I didn't have the room to maneuver around that back then. And that's why the art project, right? Unfortunately, the art project has created a headache of its own, right? So I'm recording this on Sunday, and once again, I felt like my weekend was already spoken for before I even got it because of how sleep deprived I was doing the art, right? It feels like during the week I take out a huge mortgage against my weekend, and when it comes, it's already garnished away. Right? It really does feel like that. It really does. And unfortunately, I start the week on a bad footing once again, and I'm going to be tripping all over stuff this week. And that's why I want you guys to. So two things you need to pray for. uh, the art project has given me a lot of joy in terms of accomplishment, but it has also given me a huge amount of bargaining power at work. Unfortunately, that bargaining power comes at a huge premium, right? It doesn't come free, right? So those are the two things I need you to pray for me. Unfortunately, people are leaving likes on my video. You need to leave a dislike to pray for this stuff, right? So pray for the joy with the art itself and for the bargaining power, right? And pray for that by disliking this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.